Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Aquarium Online Academy. My name is Emily, and we're broadcasting live from the Aquarium of the Pacific in Long Beach, California. Today, we are going to be exploring the world of rays. But before we get started on that, I actually have a question for you. Before we talk about rays, we're actually going to be talking about sharks. So close your eyes and think of a shark. What are some of the things that you think of when you think of shark? Maybe some of you at home are showing me like sharks, right? Like you think about sharks and their shark fins. Of course, that's a natural thing to think about. I happen to have a very cute plush shark right here. You can see that this is sort of, if you think about, you close your eyes, maybe this was the image of what you had. Maybe this is a cuter version of the image that you had in your mind. And you can see that there's a shark, and we think about sharks in the ocean. We know a lot about sharks, maybe. Maybe you've read or heard about sharks. What's something that you know about sharks? Well, take a look right here. Now, as we ask questions today, as a part of our Aquarium Online Academy, we do welcome you to text us if you want. You can text us right here. Go ahead and ask a grown up that's around. You can text us at 562-286-1838. We are happy to take your questions live while we are broadcasting. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, you can also email us. You can email the email address right here live at lbaop.org. So today we're going to be talking about rays, but we're talking about sharks first. So this is what I think of when I think about sharks. We happen to have these sharks here at the Aquarium of the Pacific. This is a black tip reef shark. You see that beautiful fin right there, and you can see there's black tips on it. That's why it's called the black tip reef shark. And of course, we know lots of different things about sharks. Maybe you've heard different things about sharks. What's something that comes to mind when you think about sharks? Maybe you think about the ways that they swim. Maybe you're thinking about the fact that they're great hunters. Maybe you think there's small ones, there's big ones. For those of you that have visited us here at the Aquarium of the Pacific, maybe you've even touched a shark. We have them here. Now, sharks are really interesting. They are a fish who have skeletons made of cartilage. Yeah, cartilage. Do you have cartilage in your body? You do? Where? Yeah, if you pointed to your nose, this is made of cartilage. Your ears are made of cartilage. That makes them sort of flexible and strong. Your nose, too. We actually have little bits of cartilage all around our bodies. This is the most prominent place, though. So a shark's entire skeleton is made out of cartilage. That makes them strong and flexible and excellent swimmers. Also, cartilage is a lot lighter than bone, so that makes them light enough to keep swimming and keep being really hydrodynamic, really good at cutting through the water. It's a good body plan. So we have uh, cartilaginous fish like sharks. Now, wait a second. We signed up for a little bit something different today, though, because we were going to be talking about the shark's cousins. Now, it turns out sharks, which are all related to each other, have a distant relative that also has a body shape or body plan made of cartilage, but a different shape. Check it out right here. What do you notice that's a little bit different about this creature than the one we were just looking at? What's different about this animal here? Well, I noticed one very important difference. This animal is a ray, and it is flat. That's actually why sometimes we refer to sharks, or I'm sorry, that we refer to rays as flat sharks, because they are very much like sharks. They have the same kind of material in their bodies. They have a shared ancestor. But look, these creatures are flat. And because rays are flat, they are very specialized for where they live and their lifestyle. They are well adapted for this. So take a look at this animal right here. Where might rays live in the ocean? Where do you think they spend a lot of their time? Maybe let's see if we can find another picture of a ray and take a look at it. It will be very, very flat. But where might they spend their time if they're flat? Can you imagine that they're in the middle of the water? Are they the top of the water? Or could they be at the bottom, near where there might be sand or corals? Well, look right here. What do you see here in the background? I noticed that they're kind of moving towards the bottom. So everything about their body is a little bit different because they are flattened versions of sharks. So take a look. Now, this is a picture that we took on one of our windows here at the aquarium, so you can sort of see the top and the bottom of this ray. What do you notice? What are some of the parts of the ray that you see here? Take a look. I'm going to grab a plush ray also to help us look at some of these things. So here we have a ray. You can see a second ray in the background. That's the top. And then the bottom is right here. What do you notice? Once again, if you're watching live, you can join us at 562-286-1838. Now, the first thing that I noticed was the color difference. The top is dark and the bottom is light. And you can see that on my plush stingray here too. So the top of this is a flat stingray. You can see the top is this gray color and the bottom is a white color. Yeah, in fact, these two rays, this plush is kind of similar to the one that's pictured right here. What else do you notice? Where are the eyes? Can you point to them? Yeah, there they are, right on the top there. So you can imagine that if this ray was sitting on the ground, there are the eyes right there. Now, because it's sitting on the ground, though, lots of different things have to change about the body. If you remember about sharks, sharks have a body that's shaped kind of like a football. And then you see that the sharks have the gills right here where they breathe. And so normally sharks take water in through their mouth and then the water goes out the gills. And it's how they're able to pass water, which they breathe. They breathe the oxygen out of the water. They breathe it as it goes in their mouth and out the gills. But what if you were a flat shark? So you took the shark and you made it really, really flat, like a ray. Well, it has to do something a little bit different. So I don't know if you can see it, but right behind their eyes, remember we just saw their eyes were on the top. Right behind their eyes, see a little something there. It kind of looks like a hole. Yeah. Let's take a closer look. Oh, yeah, this is a great picture of a cow nose right. There's the eye. Remember, the eyes are kind of situated on the top of their body, but right behind the eye, there's a hole. Yeah. And that hole is a modified gill slit. So the gills that we saw before on the side of a shark, what happens is when you make it a flat shark, their flattened body plan, most of the gills are here on the bottom. You can see it right there. But there's one on the top. And that allows the rays to pull water in through that spherical, the gill on the top, and push it out through the water on the bottom. So that way they're not pulling just like sand and things in. They're actually able to get water in, and they push and pump water over their bodies this way. What else do you notice about the ray here? We see the eyes. We see those great gill slits right here and the modified gill slit. You know what I also notice? It's right here. What is that? You're right, it's their mouth. So that is what they use, of course, to eat. And their mouths are on the bottom because they eat food that's below them when they have this sort of like bottom dwelling lifestyle. Now, and we can even see it on this plush animal. You can see it has on the bottom, it actually has a little mouth right here. So that is how they eat. But it sort of makes me wonder. I wonder, what are their teeth like? So let's ponder that for a moment. I'm going to see if I can grab some a jaw out, and let's take a look. So I've got a special camera inside of our studio here, and on it we've got this right here. So this is actually the remarkable mouth of a stingray. Okay, let me zoom out just a little bit so you can see it. I'm going to make it a little bit. I'm going to make it a little bit darker. Oops. Oh, too dark. Okay, we'll try it this way then. All right. So, what do you notice about these teeth? I'm going to stand right next to it. So, of course, it's actually about this big, but I wanted to zoom in so you could see a little bit better. What do you notice about these teeth? Are they surprising? They definitely surprise me too. Because sometimes when I think about teeth, I think about teeth, right? Or I think about like big teeth, like maybe like shark teeth. But this isn't at all what I thought. Does it remind you of anything you've seen before? A lot of times I hear, oh, that looks like a snake's belly. It sure does because it has these almost like scaly looking plates on it. I'll go touch it in a minute and I'll tell you a little bit about the way that those teeth feel. But this looks, so we hear sometimes, oh, that looks like a snake's belly. Sometimes I also hear like, oh, that kind of reminds me my bike tires, right? I can see why you might say that because these teeth have like the wide plates, almost like the tread of like a mountain bike or something like that. Yeah, so interesting right there. So I'm going to come back over to the camera on the side. You can see how big it is in relation to my hand. Now, it's open all the way, so you can see that. And when I feel this, it actually feels, I can feel the individual bumps. So I can feel the individual bumps, but by and large, it's pretty smooth. It has these hexagon shaped teeth in the middle, and then on the edges, it kind of has like the diamond shaped teeth. So even within the mouth, there is some specialization. There are teeth that are different than others. That is actually pretty common depending on how animals use their mouths. For example, our mouths have all different kinds of teeth inside. If you think about it, you've got the teeth you smile with in the front. You've got your vampire teeth. Mine aren't very sharp, but you've got the next set of teeth. Then you have some big flat teeth, and then you have some even bigger flat teeth in the very back. So our teeth, even inside our mouth, look different. Same thing with this creature. This is a stingray's jaw, and they have different kinds of teeth in their mouth, in the different places of their mouth. Now, these teeth are, as we noticed, really, really wide and flat, and they are the perfect tool for crushing. A lot of times I think about it this way. If you can take your two hands like this, like a fist, and stack them on top of each other, that's sort of like what these teeth right behind me, the stingray teeth, are kind of like. They kind of crunch down and they crush their food up. So teeth don't have to be sharp to be powerful. This is a powerful jaw that can crush food. Now, if you lived on the bottom of the ocean and you were flat, your mouth was on the bottom, and you had a powerful jaw for crushing food, what might be some of the things that you eat? Remember, you live on the bottom of the ocean, the seafloor. Your mouth is on the bottom, and you have the ability to crush and crunch things up. Hmm, what kinds of food would a ray eat? Hmm. Well, if you said maybe they have the ability to crunch and crush hard shells, you'd be correct. These jaws are great at crushing things like shellfish, maybe even shrimp or other small animals. As a reminder, this mouth is actually not very big. So the mouth itself is probably no bigger than a human mouth. But of course, they have different tools in their mouth to eat. So they are actually able to crunch and crush um, their food if they live on the bottom. Now, there are some rays that live on the bottom of the ocean. There are some that have a slightly different lifestyle that maybe you've heard of also. Here in Southern California, we see stingrays. I see stingrays pretty regularly. I'll see ones that are shaped like a circle, and they almost look kind of like a really light colored plate or frying pan. Those are called round rays. I see those really often, either when I'm at the beach or if I'm out on the water. Sometimes I see them. But there are some rays that are very, very large that make their lifestyle out in the open ocean, and they actually look a little bit different. I'm not actually sure if we have any pictures of those. Um, yeah. Oh, let's take a look. So Carrie is in here with me. She's going to show us. This is a ray. Remember, like the cousin of a shark, a flat shark, but it makes its life out in the open ocean. What do you notice? Is this one that you recognize? Yeah, this is the beautiful manta ray. Check out how it actually moves. Rays will often use the side fins, their pectoral fins, to move, and they sort of flap them up and down, almost the way that you imagine a bird would flap its wings. Not all rays move this way. I'll show you another way that they move, but this ray moves very gracefully. They are huge. So a manta ray can be a small manta ray is like Emily's size. So I'm about 5 feet tall. If I were to lay down next to a manta ray, the wingspan is about Emily's size for a small one. But for a very big one, they can be 10, 15 feet or more across. Some of the even largest ones can get even bigger than that. And so these are amazing creatures, and because they live sort of this lifestyle where they're in the middle of the ocean, not always hanging out by the bottom, they actually eat a little bit differently. So you can see they have some really prominent gills. They've got those two flaps right by their mouth, and what they do is they swim with their mouth open, and they actually, you can kind of see it in these videos. And what they do is they swim and they collect food with their mouth open really, really wide. Here, take a look. And then they filter out plankton. So they're actually able to eat and breathe at the same time, which I think is really neat. And so they pull all that water in. So you can imagine for a creature that's this big, they actually have to eat a lot. They spend all day long eating, 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 and swimming through clouds and clouds of plankton that are out there. And that's the sort of the life of a manta ray because they're not the type of ray that lives down in the bottom. Really, really beautiful. Watch that swimming again for just a moment. You can see, as I mentioned, these rays actually move by flapping those pectoral fins up and down, almost like a bird flapping its wings. You can see they don't really use their tails to move much. It might be for slight steering, but they don't use their tails to move. Sharks actually do use their tails to move. So sharks you'll actually see move their tail back and forth. Rays don't really use their tail the same way. There are some rays, the ray that I mentioned before, the round ray that lives here in Southern California, they don't move with this kind of motion. They move more with like a fluttering motion all the way around. And so you'll see that in different, this is beautiful, like in the middle of sort of the ripple of it. It's still moving the side fins, but instead of a big graceful sweep like this, they sort of ripple around, and that's how they move right there. You can also see for this blue spotted ray, it also has that modified gill slit right behind its eyes that allow them to bring water in and then pump it out their gill slits on the bottom. So you can see that. And this one happens to be swimming right over top a little fish. Now, something I noticed about this particular one is a little bit different than maybe the manta ray that we were just looking at or some of the other pictures we were looking at. That happens to be this one has a lot of bright colors on it. Now, a lot of rays, because they hang out, they sort of have their lifestyle sitting on the bottom. A lot of them are sand colored, things like that. But where might a fish or a ray like this live if it's got all these colors on it? Any ideas? Maybe it lives in a place that's also colorful. Yeah, so these types of rays, these blue spotted rays, are often found in tropical warm water where there are brightly colored creatures like corals and things. And so they actually have these bright, beautiful patterns on the top of them. Now, they also, similar to what we were looking at before, their mouth is on the bottom, and then they have um, crushing teeth as well. Uh, Animals, of course, that are much smaller. So this particular animal, I know it looks really big behind me. We're actually zoomed in. It's a really big close-up picture of it. That animal is probably about the size, I would say, of a large dinner plate or like a if you're like me and you think about things in the terms of food sizes, I would say like medium or medium large pizza is about the size of this particular type of ray, maybe medium pizza. Yeah, so that's actually about as big as they are. The manta ray, on the other hand, like I said, is a small manta ray is Emily's size, right? So there's a huge diversity in the shapes and sizes of these creatures. Carrie, do we have any other pictures or sort of interesting pictures of any of the rays? Or maybe we can take a deeper dive with one of the rays. For those of you who are following along at home, you can always text us. Or if you are watching this recording afterwards, maybe rays are your favorite creature, and you want to share something with us, you can always email us. Now, oh, this is one of my favorite animals we happen to have here at the aquarium. Watch the flapping. So she sort of does both a flapping and a ripple movement. Now notice her pattern on the top there. Does it remind you of any other creatures? Yeah. And based on what you see here, do you think that this is a small ray or a large ray? Take a look at those other sharks. Yes, this is a very, very big ray. Now, this ray does happen to spend her life, you can see, hanging out towards the bottom. She is darker on the top and lighter on the bottom, but she has that beautiful spotted pattern. It kind of looks like almost like really dense leopard spots or like giraffe pattern. And that's actually why she's called the reticulated whip ray or reticulated whiptail ray. Now she's really, really big. So if I were to compare my size to her, she is bigger across than I am tall. So she is actually about 6 feet from tip to tip of her. So she's 6 feet around, which is bigger than me. And then her tail is several feet longer. I think she's between 10 and 12 feet long. So she's actually quite long. So she's a really, really, really big animal. She does hang out on the bottom, so it's a little bit different than a manta ray. And she lives in Shark Lagoon with all of our other sharks. Now, one of the questions that we often get questions about is about stingray stingers. Now, not all rays have stingers on them, but many of them do. Does anybody know what do they use those stingers for? Hmm. A lot of times people think that's how they catch their food, but that's actually not true. They use their strong and powerful jaws to catch their food. This is another one of my favorite animals. This is a spotted eagle ray. We have these here at the Aquarium of the Pacific too. Notice these beautiful spots, and then it has a really pointy snout right there. But take a look right here. So there's the tail, and the stinger is sort of located closer to the body. That's not at the tip of the tail, it's closer to the body. And that's because stingers, when rays have these adaptations, stingers are used for protection. They're actually used to keep the animal, as a way of defending the animal, like the animal uses it to defend itself. And what happens is, for example, if this is a creature that is hanging out and hiding on the bottom, if there is a bigger predator or something that comes over top it, maybe a human steps on it, or maybe another creature settles on it or gets too close, the what happens is the stingray will actually throw their tail up, and the stinger, this would be close to their body, the stinger can then poke into whatever is directly on top of that. And so that is actually how they protect themselves. They try not to use the stinger when possible because it is actually energetically expensive for them to blow a stinger back. It actually takes a lot of effort. So this is something you see them do only when they are really, really threatened or really scared. And so that's what they do. They'll throw up their tail, like they whip their tail up, and then use that stinger to try and get at whatever is over top. The stinger is really interesting also. So it's like I said, it's usually at the base or close to the base of the body or where the tail meets the body. And it's actually kind of like a modified tooth. And so it is like for us, it takes a long time to grow back a tooth, or if you're an adult, you can't grow them back. But on these rays, of course, they can, and it takes a lot of time and energy to grow that back. And so, they actually only use it when they absolutely have to. For most of the rays that live here in Southern California, the round rays that we see at the beach, their stingers are less than 1 inch long. So they're actually really, really tiny. Yeah. All right. So let's see if there's any other. I love this animal, by the way. This is one of my favorite ones. Let's see if there's any other fun pictures that we can look at of our world of rays here at the Aquarium of the Pacific. Yeah, we can look at a really specialized ray right here. This one we don't have here at the aquarium, but we do talk about it. This is a rhino ray. So you can see it kind of almost looks like it has almost like that shark body, but it does have some really flat features. I love rhino rays because they have this big curved face right here. You can also see the beautiful markings and then the ridges on it, and then the big fins right there. So the rhino ray is an endangered species and really, really beautiful species. Sort of looks more sharky than some of the other animals that we've looked at today, but these are in fact rays. So they have the flat, um, that sort of flattened body shape. They just do have a much more prominent fins than the other rays that we were looking at. Well, I want to thank you. We are wrapped up for today, but I want to thank you all for joining us. Again, if you are watching this broadcast and rays are your favorite thing, you have questions and you want to share with us what your favorite ray is, feel free to email us at live@lbaop.org and we will get back to you soon. Hope you all have a wonderful day and we will see you later. Bye.